See what can happen when you have a little bit of life, a little bit of juice, a little bit of youth injected to your ball club. Let's go.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Sam Olbert. I'm a lifelong fan taking my passion into a discussion with you. 2 wins today with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making Locked On Cubs your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and give us a comment below. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Had to go get my broom. I know it's only a 2-gamer and a doubleheader, but anytime we could say sweep and Brewers in the same sentence, we're celebrating it. And the Chicago Cubs today did just that. They swept the Brewers in a doubleheader. Obviously, we're going to talk about that. Some news and notes that I want to talk about. Some really interesting interviews today given by Kyle Tucker, Craig Counsell, and yes, Pat Murphy. We're going to talk about those, but I want to start with the youth movement. We've talked about it a lot on this show. I don't care what the projections are. I don't care what Fangraphs, with all due respect to them, they're a fantastic site, what the projections are for Caissie the rest of the year, or even Ballesteros versus a Kyle Tucker or whoever else a Hap. It's not about that right now. This team was in a rut. Notice how I said was, because maybe today we'll get them out of it. And when you're in a rut in anything, you need a change, right? You need to change something. You know, a rut is you're doing the same thing every time. I mean, think about it. You know, sometimes you're in a rut, you go on a vacation, or you make a new friend. You just do something different to get yourself out of it, right? And that's what this team needed to do, and they needed to do it far, far sooner than when they did. But bringing up a guy like Caissie, it gave him a jolt. And it's not like you know, when John Lester talked about Rizzo and Bryant in the World Series, kind of like as a compliment, hey, they're too young and dumb to know what's going on, and that actually helps them. That's what youth brings you. They're not worried about the slump. They don't feel the pressure. They don't care about the boo birds. They're young kids. Think about how you were when you were 23 versus being 30. It's just different. It's a different mindset. You have less nerves. You're just going out there. You know, it's a spirit. It's an energy that's brought to the team. Shaw's giving it to you right now. Caissie did. The 2 biggest hits of this season, you could make the case, or at least in the second half, were by Ballesteros in Milwaukee, and then Caissie today against Milwaukee. So I just wanted to open the show with that. I feel energized by those guys. It's a different look. You need a spark when you're struggling, as long as this team has. And unfortunately, that comes at the expense of Kyle Tucker getting benched. But it was time. It was time, and he shouldn't be in the lineup tomorrow either. I know it's Mizorowski. Let these kids play. Let them see. Take them as far as you could take them, as far as they'll take you. We know it's not going to last forever. We know they're going to hit a rough patch, but those are things to consider over 162. This isn't 162 anymore. This is not a marathon anymore. This is a sprint to the finish line, and we all know that, you know, 1 or 2 guys get hot. Look at Carson Kelly in April. What if Caissie gives you that from August on? We don't know. Let the kids play. Let them spark you. Bring energy into this building. It was Owen Caissie in games 1 and 2. He combined for 4 RBIs, a home run, a huge hit early, which we're going to talk about. And then Matt Shaw had a hit in the first game. He really should have had a homer, too, that got knocked down by the wind. Then a huge triple in the nightcap that really, I thought, put an exclamation point on this win. He was pumped up. He was fired up, and it got me going. I felt like Michael Jordan after that game winner against the Jazz. I was just doing the fist pump, the MJ fist pump, after he hit one. I want to say, what was that, 97 game 1 against Utah, after Karl Malone missed a couple free throws. So let's talk about these games. Let's get into them, because this is the best day for the Cubs in quite a long time. So game 1, Obviously, vibes weren't great after yesterday. Felt like the rainout was definitely going to at least do the Cubs a little bit of favor from the momentum standpoint, and it did. They came out early. I want to say it was the first inning. Owen Caissie came to the plate off Colin Patrick, bases loaded. And, you're thinking to yourself, here we go. We're going to waste another opportunity. PCA had a runner on third, less than 2 outs, didn't get the job done. We're going to waste it. We're going to waste it. And Owen Caissie gets that base hit to right field. That's what got the day going. That base hit right there was huge. It was the biggest hit maybe of the entire day. It just got the crowd going. It got everybody kind of feeling like, oh, okay. And then with Matthew Boyd on the mound, you felt like that was going to be enough. But, Boyd wasn't great again versus this Brewers team. 5 1/3, 4 earned. They were really pesky, especially in game one. A lot of hits, a lot of really good at-bats for them. And then Willie Castro. I've kind of cracked some jokes about him left-handed. Well, who's laughing now? You are, Willie. A 3-run home run to give the Cubs a 5-0 lead. 5-0 became 5-4. And then guess who came to the plate to make it 6-4 and give you that much-needed insurance run? Owen Caissie again. And the Cubs were able to close it out. It got a little bit dicey late. Palencia walked a guy and gave up a hit, but he got a big double play ball to get the save and get the win. And that right there, that almost felt like just such a sigh of relief, because we were all just kind of thinking after game one and the way things were headed, oh man, I just hope they get one. Maybe they can get two. And then you get one early, and it really felt like it changed the complexion of the field. It felt, game two felt like a game that was really winnable. And listen, rain delays are no stranger to helping Cubs, no rain in general. And I know this sounds crazy and people will probably laugh, but I'm not sure the Cubs win Monday night with the way it was going if that game was played. So maybe that rain out, maybe we'll be talking about that rain out for a while. Some other highlights from game one. I thought Seiya had a good day. He walked twice, scored twice. Pete had another 2-hit day, which was good to see. Unfortunately, he continues to get thrown out stealing, which is just it's becoming a problem because it's such a huge part of his game. I'd like to see him in the offseason get more dynamic and more consistent in that. Thought Ian Happ hit a ball that should have left the park. It was a double. Matt Shaw had a ball that should have left the park, was caught at the wall. I was actually listening to Pat Hughes during that call, and he did his whole, Matt Shaw, it's a line drive, deep left center field. This ball's got a chance, and it's caught. I never hear him do that. He never misses those. That's how much the wind impacted that. And then you got to shout out the bullpen. Brad Keller came in. He did okay. But Caleb Thielbar was excellent. Drew Pomerantz was excellent. And Daniel Palencia got the job done. So the Cubs came in. They took care of business in game one, which was huge. Let's talk about what happened in game two coming up next. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Folks, I've used Game Time twice in the last 5 days. Late Friday night, decided to go to the Cubs game against the Pirates. Boom, logged right on Game Time, got a seat. Shout out to my buddy Jordan, sat with him, watched the game, watched the Cubs win. And then tomorrow is my buddy's birthday. I wasn't sure if I could make it, if I could go until literally about 20 minutes ago. Hopped up on the phone, boom, Game Time, got the ticket, all set, all done. That easy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We are back here on Locked On Cubs, and game two featured Jameson Taillon versus Brandon Woodruff. I had a little bit of optimism heading into this series because I just felt like with Woodruff, he was due. Like I've watched him pitch a lot. I watch a lot of Brewers games. He's pitching awesome. I just didn't think he was pitching as awesome as his ERA showed. Now he wasn't bad today. 4 1/3, 5 hits, 3 earned, and a couple of those. I think one of them came after he left the game, but it just felt like the Cubs were all over him early. They had an opportunity to score in the first, but Michael Busch couldn't get to third base on a weird deflected ball on a half hit. PCA, who did not have a good game too with the plate, couldn't get the job done, and you felt like they left some opportunities out there. But they came back in the second, scored a couple. And, big hits from a lot of guys. Caissie again with an RBI single. A big hit from Nico Horner. Bush had a big hit into the corner to score a run. I thought it was a really good, solid offensive effort today. I wish they probably could have scored a couple more runs. They weren't great with runners in scoring position, but it was a very good offensive effort. It was a very good offensive effort. And you're starting to see some signs, right? Bush is starting to show signs. Happ is starting to show signs. I thought Say and Pete didn't have good game twos, but they're starting to show signs, and that's all you could ask. And then the youth movement, like we talked about, Caissie with a big hit. I would have loved to see him stay in there in the 5th and face Ashby. Said it in the moment. I get it. Turner's the better matchup later in the game, absolutely. But in the 5th, let the kid go. Let him swing it. He's hot. There's no metric for confidence. There's no metric for a guy with momentum. There's no metric for a guy feeling good. Thought Dansby had a good day at the plate in game 2. He had a rocket off the wall. I thought that ball was going to leave the yard. Shaw's triple we talked about. But the one guy you really got to credit to, if you're going to give a player of the game out for game 2, you got to give it to J-Mo. His first start in quite a while. We talked about it. When the conditions are right, like tonight at home, J-Mo can be really effective, but that's a really tough lineup, a lineup that doesn't really rely a lot on slugs. So the wind blowing in, it's not as big of an advantage as it would be typically, because these guys, they don't hit a lot of fly balls. They hit line drives, and J-Mo had a really difficult first inning, threw a ton of pitches, was lucky to get out of it with 1. And then you're thinking to yourself, oh man, like we really need a deep outing. We didn't get a deep outing out of Boyd. We didn't get a deep outing out of Cade. And he really grinded through and gave you a quality 6 innings, which I'm sure Craig Counsell and the rest of the Cubs pitchers really appreciated. I thought he was magnificent in this game. And, when you hear things like veteran outing, when you hear things like, hey, that was a veteran effort, that's what you're talking about. He knew he needed to go deep. He knew the Cubs needed a really good performance, and he got that. I thought the play of this game, though, was when Rogers was on the mound. Cubs were up a few runs. I think it was a 3-run game. I think it was 4-1 at the time, and I believe it was the top of the 7th. And Sal Frelick hit a line drive to right field with runners on the corners and 1 out. And Willie Castro, who had himself a day, welcome to the Cubs, Willie Castro, with an absolute hose of a throw to get whoever was trying to score at home there. I think it was Terang that he got at the plate. I mean, it was, I tweeted out, it reminded me of a Roberto Clemente type throw. I mean, he was close. It wasn't like he was super far, but he threw that straight on a line. And it just seemed like on Tuesday at Wrigley, the Cubs made the plays. The Cubs made the big plays, not the Brewers. The Brewers made some mistakes. The Cubs didn't make a ton of them. And that was the difference in the baseball game. And I give the Cubs a lot of credit. And I have a little bit of juice. I have a little bit of energy right now. So on Wednesday, a game, like I just said, that I will be at, it's the toughest matchup, I think, on paper. Colin Ray versus Jacob Misiorowski. It's going to be a really tough one. Misiorowski's coming off of a bad start. His first start off the IL, I think he only went a few against the Reds, and he was all over the place, and it wasn't very good at all by him. But my concern would be, well, he's going to bounce back. He's not going to have 2 in a row like that. And Colin Ray's done a nice job, and it should be a pretty cool evening from everything that I've seen. So hopefully, it'll be one of those days where Ray can just kind of spray the ball all over the yard, but it finds gloves, and maybe the Cubs can get Mizorowski out of there early, maybe after, maybe he has 75 pitches that comes after 4, and they can go to work. Because, when you start looking ahead now, right, I'm still not looking at division standings. I'm not into that at all right now, but I talked about it going in. The goal of this series would have been, it would really give this team, I think, a lift if they could win this series and win the season series against the Brewers. And now they have 2 chances to do it, right? Sweeping this doubleheader means they got to win one of these next 2 games, whether it's Mizorowski versus Ray, or the Thursday matchup, which I believe is Priester versus Imanaga. Obviously Thursday feels like the better matchup, but now that you've swept, now that you've won 2 out of 3, now you got to get one of these 2. Then you have a little bit of momentum, right? You come home against Pittsburgh, you take 2 out of 3. Then if you could find a way to win 3 out of 5. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's a solid. Hey, that's a 5-3 homestand, and against the best team in baseball that probably hasn't lost 2 games in a row since Sammy Sosa man right field for the Cubs. And then you go to Anaheim with some momentum. For the first time, maybe since the Boston Red Sox series, you have the opportunity to get some momentum. And I think you got to play the young kids. I think you got to play Caissie. I think you got to play him. We're going to talk about this Tucker situation here in a bit. I know Mizorowski's probably not the greatest matchup. Let these kids take you as far as they could take you. Caissie, Shaw. I wish Ballesteros were up as well, but give them a chance. Give them a chance to continue to do what they can do. As far as the pitching situation, a lot of roster moves were made. They called up Cosgrove for the first game, then sent him down as they called up Tyone. Jordan Wicks is up as well as was up as the 27th man. I don't know what they're going to do with that tomorrow. I think they need to keep Wicks or somebody on the roster. Maybe Ben Brown, because he hasn't pitched since Sunday, can go again on Wednesday. They need somebody available to give them length tomorrow or Thursday if they need it, because they've had to use a lot of arms. And the one guy that I really think deserves a shout out, speaking of a lot of arms, is Andrew Kittredge. I mean, he's literally pitched. He pitched Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday. I mean, he's thrown 4 of the last 5 days. Big saves, big escapes, high leverage stuff. Give Jed credit for that one. I know he had a little bit of a hiccup there with one bad outing, but Kittredge has just taken the ball and been huge for the Cubs during this stretch, because you know how Craig is with burning bullpen, and he doesn't have a choice right now with all these games in a lot of days. So amazing day for the Cubs, amazing series, amazing sweep. And now if they could win one more of these next 2 games, you really feel like maybe the tide can turn a little bit. But that tide will probably be turning without Kyle Tucker. We're going to talk about his interviews, a little bit of Counsell, a little bit of Murphy, all that coming up next. Welcome back to Locked On Cubs. And it was a weird morning of interviews from the Cubs brass, and even from Pat Murphy as well. Let's start with Kyle Tucker. I'm not a big interview guy. I think we could overvalue that, especially for a guy with Tucker's personality. He's pretty even-keeled, pretty introverted. I don't have any quotes from the interview because the quotes don't really do anything justice, but I would recommend you go watch that interview, the Kyle Tucker on Marquee. It was different. It was different than just the classic introverted, even-keeled Kyle Tucker. This is somebody that's very upset, and I don't know if he's upset because he got benched or if he's just upset because he's struggling, but this is somebody that is really going through it. And I know there's been a lot of debate about, is booing him the right move or not? And to be honest with you, and I know this is a cop-out, I don't have an answer to that. I don't, however people, as long as they're appropriate, I don't have an issue with it. You're allowed to fan the way you want to fan. People pay a lot of money to get into these baseball games and to watch this team. They invest a lot of time. And so if they feel like somebody's not performing up to standard, which he isn't, and they let him know about it, I don't have a huge problem with it. I think the case against it is that he is so far not himself right now that I just don't think any negative reinforcements, I don't think it's going to help anything. If anything, it hurts it, but I definitely don't think it helps. So I know that's kind of answering both ways there. I don't have a problem with people doing it. If I were there, I probably wouldn't, just because, even though I did on Twitter, just because I just think, like watching him today, it's somebody that just needs a break from baseball, man. Just needs a break. And I know we've talked about this, so I don't want to regurgitate it too much, but I know that, a lot of people will say, hey man, you don't get a break from work when you're doing badly. Well, when your most important employee is struggling, sometimes you take some PTO, right? You take some time. And I just think with Tucker, he needs some time. Mechanically, mentally, he needs some time. I really hope he's not back in the lineup. First of all, I don't think it would be doing him any favors to put him back in the lineup against Mizorowski anyway. If it were up to me, I would have IL'd him. I've said that many times. I think he should be IL'd. I think Ballesteros should be up, and the Cubs should be mixing and matching with Caissie, Ballesteros, Happ, PCA, and Seiya. You know what I mean? Just mix and match. Happ, to his credit, is showing signs of heating up, so maybe that's not an option anymore. But I think Tucker should be on the injured list. I don't want to see him pinch run. I don't want to see him pinch hit for a while. Maybe they wait and he comes back in Anaheim against the Angels, a much more kind of easy environment to play in. But he just sounded, man, just his quotes. He was kind of chomping on his gum in the microphone and was just kind of like, everything just kind of felt like, look, it's just really bad right now. I don't know what to tell you. Like that's what it felt like. He didn't say that, but that's just what it felt like. I can't describe it, but it was a somber, to use my partner Matt Cozy's phrasing of it over text. It was a weird interview. Counsell, on the other hand, was weird, but in like a good way. Counsell was, he was, hey, bring on these challenges. Let's go, man. He used the word man a lot. Here, this is baseball, man. We're not scared, man. Let's go, man. It was kind of weird. It was one of the more energetic Counsell interviews I've seen. And, I'm not going to go crazy and say that's why they won today, but it did seem like a little bit of a different personality from him. But positive, like, hey, like this is it. Like these are the hands that we've been dealt. We still got a chance to make the playoffs. Making the playoffs isn't easy. This is all me paraphrasing, because none of this was really quotable. You have to like watch it. It was just different. But let's go. And I appreciated that. I appreciated that interview. As far as Murphy goes, this guy, man, Pat Murphy, he reminds me so much of how I am in sports when I'm winning. I never will take any of the credit. I will always present as an underdog and just, hey, well, you were great. And these guys are great. What can I do? It just got lucky with that one. Let me give you a quote from him to Jesse Rogers before the series. This is a quote talking about who's the favorite, who's the underdog in this series. Quote, they have all-stars, MVP candidates, veterans, Gold Glove winners, world champions. What don't they have? They're not the underdogs. Trust me, end quote. They were 9 games up or 8 games up, whatever it was, going into the series, the hottest team in baseball, right? And then he said something like about Caissie after the game. That's a prospect right there, What is he, about 6'12", and he could really hit, was making some funny comments. He is just a... You just know the type of guy he is. He's a real intense competitor. And then he was on 670, I think, Tuesday, talking about the Counsell hire and how there was a time where he thought he might be going to the Cubs quickly until he realized that the Brewers wanted him. And then he just complimented Counsell and said, hey, they made the right hire. Counsell's special. Just all of these, like, you know what I'm talking about, like just complimenting them. Hey, we're just the plucky underdog Brewers out here doing the best we can, but deep down, he's just keeping his guys hungry. He's just firing them up. It's a motivational tactic, and I got to tell you, I love it. I love it. Sometimes is it a bit much, sure, but I love it. I love the mind game in baseball, and I respect it. A couple other nuggets here. after probably the best day for the Cubs since I don't know when. Talked about Tyone, Cosgrove, Wicks. We'll see what the Cubs do with that. A lot more talk here lately about the Wrigley win. Marquis put up some really good stuff that since July, it's the 27th most runs in any ballpark, which is just crazy because when you think July and August in Wrigley, it's always was like, hey, Aramis Ramirez is going to survive in April. And once you survive April, May, June, July, and August at Wrigley, you're going to crush the ball. It's just not like that anymore. I don't know exactly what it is, but it just seems like to me, your only chance is to get one up in the left center. It's right center. It's just torture over there. It's just torture. I remember that ball Gunnar Henderson hit a couple weeks ago, that homer off at Field Bar. I thought he hit that ball into like the 15th row. It barely got out. And here's a stat that they talked about today that was actually really interesting. At Wrigley Field this year, there has been one home run by a righty to right field, opposite field. One. And that was by Seiya Suzuki. One opposite field home run by a righty the entire season at Wrigley Field. It's just, it's never been a great park for lefties to pull. If you're going to be a lefty hitter and hit homers, you want to go left center. But there's a reason why nobody's hit 40 home runs from the left side since Billy Williams, because it's getting worse. I mean, you just hit these balls. I mean, Ian hit a couple balls, 105, 107, die at the track. Pete hit a ball a few weeks ago, 107, 25 degrees. That's an automatic homer. It didn't even bounce off the wall. It bounced off the track at right center. Right center is really just the dead alley at Wrigley Field right now, and that proves it. Just one home run from a righty opposite field at Wrigley Field. But all in all, guys, it was a tremendous day. I hope you guys had like a cathartic scream or fist bump or something, whoever you're watching the game with. That was just like, to me, when Kittredge got that final out, it was just like, all right, something like that. Let's go. We got life. And that's a lot more than we could say where things were yesterday. So next two games, Mizorowski, Priester, see if this offense could take some momentum, carry it over, give themselves a chance, do the little things, find a way to win one of these two games. Obviously, if you win both, it's incredible. But even if you could just find a way to win one, win the season series against what's probably going to be a 100-ish win Brewers team, gives you a lot of confidence, a lot of momentum heading into this final stretch. And maybe, just maybe, we could put this rut and long bad stretch behind us. Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 30 minutes, we'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, smash the like button for the algorithm, leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts. I'm Sam Olber, and this is Locked On Cubs. Let's go.